So when you say, hey, you use this road more than I do, you should pay more for it, it's actually not fair. It's actually much less fair than you think it might be. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So, like people say stuff like, hey, the people who use the road should be the ones who pay for it. No, no, not really. It doesn't actually work that way. And everybody uses roads, even indirectly. Just because you don't use it personally doesn't mean that nothing you do relies on the roads. Like all the shops you go to uses the roads to supply the shops. If you order something and then it gets delivered to you, it is delivered to you on the road, right? So people always use roads, even if they don't really realize it. Okay, how do I want to do this? I want this to ramp up, basically. Let me just try a shallow ramp. 2 blocks. And I guess it's one of those things that people who don't know very much about economics don't understand about how the market system works. The point is that the market only works for things that are optional, or at the very least where there are substitutes, and you can choose between one thing and another, because that's what a market is. You go to a market, you choose to buy something. And the choosing is a key part of how the market works. If you don't have a choice, there's no market. And that's why a monopoly is not a market, in the sense that if there's only one guy selling a thing and you have to buy it, then there's no choice, there's no market. It's a monopoly. Or, stuff like that. So, things like traveling, you don't have a choice, you have to travel. Things like food, you don't have a choice, you have to eat food. Things like water, well, actually no, food you do. Food you have a choice in the sense that you can choose to eat one thing or another. So you choose to eat apples or bananas. So you have a choice in that sense. So the market kind of works if you're kind of choosing between apples and bananas, but you can't choose to not eat. You know what I mean? So whereas market, like you can choose to buy a race car or not buy a race car. It doesn't really matter. So for some things market works and for some things markets don't. Because the whole point of a market is that people would choose what they need the most, and they'll kind of choose the lowest price, or they'll choose the features that make most sense. It's all about choice. Like the free market is all about choice. And in any situation where you don't have a choice about anything, you can't use market economics to explain it. I'm kind of talking about economics now, which is not really what we're here to do. How did I get into this? Oh, it's like roads. You can't choose. You can't really choose roads. So let's say maybe you have toll roads, and maybe you have multiple ways to get to where you want to go. Then maybe you have a choice between which road to take. It's not really it doesn't really work like that. Especially since a road network only makes sense if there's a network. Like if you don't build a specific road to get from point A to point B, you build a road network that connects all points, and then you use that same road network to get to anywhere in the city. So the roads, like, you can't consider like roads to be different roads, because there's always, like, roads always cross each other, and it's always a network of roads. So there's really no choice. Like, you can't choose to not use roads. Like, what are you gonna do? Choose not to go to work? Well, maybe you can choose not to go to work. Or like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna choose to fly? You can't fly. You can't fly to work. Or maybe you can. If you can, then that's fine. Choose not to use the road. But most people can't afford to fly to work. You know what I mean? And so there's no meaningful choice there. There's no meaningful options. I need slabs, don't I? Yes, I do. So the idea that you can have like a market for roads is completely absurd. Completely absurd. And the only reason you can have a market for airlines is that there are enough different airlines for you to choose from. So maybe you can't choose not to travel by plane, but you can choose to travel by a different airline, for example. So I mean, there's a little bit of choice possible there. Alright, a ramp. So we turn that rather steep cliff into a shallow ramp that you can travel up. That's pretty good. It's not bad. I like it. Let's fill all this in. And especially things that you don't know you'll need in the future. And by the time you need it, it's too late to build it. For example, a road. I mean, if you say, okay, I don't need to get to work today, so I don't want this road. And then tomorrow you get a job offer, and you have to go to work. Well, by the time you need the road, it's too late to build it, because you can't build it in a day. Like, it takes kind of several months to build a road. So you kind of have to build it beforehand. You have to build the road before you need it. And it's, again, like, predicting the future is one of those things that markets don't do very well, because it's all speculation and a lot of gambling in the futures markets. And so you can't say, okay, I'll need this. I might need this a year from now, and therefore I'll invest in the road today, and then maybe I'll need it in a year's time. You can't really do that accurately or confidently. But if you say, well, I don't need it now, so I won't pay for it. In a year's time, okay, now I need the road. Now I'll pay for it. It doesn't work. Like, you can't build a road in a day. Like, you have to build it beforehand, even if you don't need it then, because you might need it in the future. So it's just one of those things where you have to build beforehand and you have to prepare beforehand. And again, it's one of those things why it's not really easy to kind of convince people to do in a Minecraft server to build roads, because of stuff like this that I'm talking about. Like, you try to tell people, hey, build a road, and they might think, well, I don't need a road now. I can just walk on the grass. I don't really care. But then, like, a road really benefits. If somebody else built a road, they'd be happy. They'd say, oh, this is a nice road. I like having a road outside my door. But when you tell them, okay, you should build the road, they say, well, I don't need it. So it's one of those things where you really benefit from having the road, but you don't really need it right now yourself. And then, so the dilemma is always the same: is how do you convince people to do things that are actually good for them, but they have to put some work into it, and they're not entirely sure when they will need it, but they probably need it in the future and stuff like that. That's a nice ramp. We turned that cliff into a ramp. That's pretty good. I like that. Maybe the city's just too flat. Maybe that's why it's so boring. It's too flat down here. Like, the bridge is kind of interesting, the ramp is kind of interesting. But it is the town square, so I guess it's supposed to be flat. It's not bad, actually. We're looking at it now. It's much better than before, isn't it? Compare this to at the beginning of this series. It is much improved. It is. Except that it was kind of boring to build. Like, it wasn't very interesting to build. But now that I've built it, it looks much better. The city looks much better than before. And it's the exact thing that I've been saying all along. Like, it's very difficult to convince people to build roads because it's kind of boring. But once you build it, the city is much nicer. So how do you get people to build roads? I don't know. I guess somebody just has to suck it up and do it. And then everybody says, hey, thank you for building roads for us. So that we don't have to do it. Because we're all lazy. But thank you for doing it for us. I guess that happens. This is supposed to be fences too, isn't it? I think the established pattern is that we would fence all intersections. Alright, so I put it there, and I put a torch there, I guess. Alright, fence all intersections. It is much, much better with the road. Much better. But boy, building it was pretty boring and not fun. Yep, pretty much everything I was just saying. What to do here? I guess we'll try and raise it halfway. So, around about here, it starts going up. Although, actually, what am I doing? Is that right? Maybe we don't need the stairs anymore. Put that in. Alright, so this needs to ramp up. Except this needs to be stone bricks here. And then this is the slab. And I mean, to be perfectly honest, even though I keep telling people to build roads, I haven't been doing it. You know, in my own Minecraft survival world, you would notice that I haven't actually built my own roads. And it's precisely because it's not very fun to build roads. Like, it's not that interesting to build roads. Even though it greatly improves. I should build roads. Maybe I just do it in my own world soon, eventually, at some point in the future. Like even though I know that building roads will definitely improve the map, I still haven't done it in my own world. Huh. It's just not. It's a chore. It's a chore basically. It's like mowing the lawn or cleaning the toilet. It's like cleaning the toilet. Who loves cleaning their toilet? Nobody. But if you don't do it, then it's kind of crappy. It's literally. So it's one of those things you have to do. Your toilet's gonna be much better after you clean it. But boy, do you not want to do it. And some things you can't rely on. You just can't rely on instincts or goodwill or the markets or anything like that. You just have to kind of force people to do it. Because they won't do it otherwise. Cleaning toilets. Or I guess you can pay people to do it. If you pay people enough money, then they'll do it. I've done this wrong, haven't I? A little bit. This should not be up this far yet. Alright, let's just keep going across. Because the brick is supposed to be sunken into the ground a little bit, not above the ground. That's a bit strange. Maybe I'll just do that. There. The building ends there. Okay, let me just do this. So the road should be here, which means the road should be there. Alright, there we go. And then ramp up. Like this. Alright, so there's the road there. Just leave it open-ended so I can continue onwards. That's pretty much all the roads, isn't it? I might leave it there for now. I might save the harbor for tomorrow or some point in the future, probably like in a few days. So I guess the next thing I want to do is put a beach in. Maybe just change that to sand. Beach, harbor, and then the city itself, and then this bit, which I don't really know what to do with. Probably back here. It's probably gonna extend that way. Change my mind about where to put it. So the monumental build would be all the way out here. I think, like all the way out here. In fact, I might just put it further away, just because. So here, so it's kind of separate from the city, and then a path leading to it. That's probably the best. Like I'm trying to keep everything compact here, but I don't think it's actually gonna work. I think that the idea that it's gonna be a monumental thing that's separate from the city makes more sense. Just so that you have more freedom not to have to try to make things fit together. Like you have enough challenge trying to fit all this stuff together here. I don't need to give you more things to try to fit together in the city. Because I want you to have a lot of freedom to choose what exactly the monumental build is going to be. Like that's completely up to you, so I think giving you more open space so you have that freedom would be a better decision. Alright, so let me just plant more grass, and I think I'll end the recording here. And next up, beach and harbor. And then after that, relocating the monuments, or the monument site. I might flatten it out and give you a foundation or something. Oh, actually, no, I won't. No, I won't. I'll let you decide on the foundation too, because that's basically the monument is like the last project. So I'm not gonna give you any hints. Basically, you're gonna have to do that on your own, almost entirely on your own. That's the idea. So I'm gonna not even put in foundations. So most of these, like you have foundations for the statue, for the temple, for the town square. Although there's not really any foundations for the park, so I guess the park and the monumental build will have no help. You have to figure out all of it yourself. Actually, now that I've done that, maybe I should change some of this to bricks. Never mind, just gonna leave it like that. Alright, ending the video here, and the city is much improved after the addition of roads. Much improved. And roads are important, I'm just gonna say that. Roads are very important, even though they are not fun to build. Alright, I'll see you guys.